Thank you very much for inviting me here to Jordan and giving an opportunity to address and participate in this workshop. I believe that I'm probably the least qualified person to be addressing people who are experts on tobacco and its consequences and its drawbacks and its various kind of adverse implications that it has on human health and also on economy. I call myself the most unqualified because I've never smoked in my life, ever in my life. So unless you go through the experience of a bad thing, you cannot be qualified, in my opinion, to talk about its habits. But anyways, my personal experience with smoking is number one is that my father was a chain smoker, and I hated it. And secondly, while I was studying, I was in my school in one of the colleges, army managed colleges, Cadet College, Kohat. And we used to have this, as pointed out by, I believe, Saif and with Asmat Wazir, the fact that there is this macho kind of image attached to smoking. And what I was studying then was like a school level, and some of my friends, they used to smoke. They used to sneak out on weekends. There used to be a hillock outside, and just go there and sit there and smoke. And smoking was supposed to be something kind of an adventure in that boring life, that controlled, regulated life. So I remember one of my friends used to tell me that kind of being sarcastic and say, "Oh, you are not man enough because you don't smoke." And I used to figure out or think, mull over the fact that why am I mean, what has manhood got to do with smoking? But anyways, this is how our young generation, our young men, they are kind of influenced by such characters as Pierce Brosnan and people like him, or the Marlboro Man, as was mentioned earlier. I think later my personal exposure, and I was just sitting here and listening to the speakers before me, and I don't have a prepared speech, so pardon me if I kind of go here and there, but the point was that what I recall now at this moment while listening to some of the speakers was that I was studying medicine at one point. I'm a doctor as well, a medical doctor in Peshawar, at a medical college in Peshawar, and I still remember in our pathology lab there used to be a big jar of glass with a human lung preserved in formalin solution, and people used to say, if you smoke, your lungs will look like this. But then there was another jar with a liver in it, and that was supposed to be, somebody had written kind of on the caption that it is the liver of a person who drinks Coca-Cola. So this is how it would look if you consume Coca-Cola for a number of years. Now, we used to discuss that, and some of my friends who were studying medicine at that time, and they were chain smokers, they used to say, well, it's better to have Coca-Cola than, and it doesn't matter because end of the day, it's the liver and the lung of a dead man. So, once we are dead, it doesn't matter whether, but just enjoy Coke and smoke while you're alive. Anyways, some of my friends who were chain smokers, one of them is a cardiologist now in the US, and the other is an oncologist, a cancer specialist. So the statistics or the examples do not relate to what happened, but anyways, it's just on a lighter note. What happened was that insofar as the implications of these habits are concerned, my understanding is that it's all social psychological compulsions, a result of that. And while you are trying to address this issue of smoking and its implications and the bad must also try to understand the social makeup of our societies and the way I think it affects us. Most of these people, smokers, I believe they get addicted to it, not probably because they want to get addicted to it or they enjoy smoking, but at some point in time they are compelled to, through circumstances, whatever, due to their personal situations. Once you start it, you get addicted to it, and addiction is the main cause. And I believe that focus our attention and our investment should be, time investment and financial investment should also be towards curing addictions, and addictions of all types. I mean, I remember when I was studying in UK, I had a criminology lecturer, and she wanted me to write on an article, a research paper on addiction and its relationship to crime. And I wrote an article, a research paper on cocaine addiction in Latin America and in South America. And my study, so far as I remember, it's been a long time that I was studying there, but my observation was that it is the free time available to people while they are in their villages in South America, where the cocoa leaf is very easily available, and they used to chew that, and then that would kind of make them addicted, and the process would go on. So social compulsions, that's what my point is. Social compulsions are also a cause of driving people towards such addictions. Insofar as what to do and the challenges are concerned, I believe that's the most pivotal question that we need to address. Now, how do we go about it? Here we heard about parliamentarians' role, the role of civil society organizations, FBR, corporate social responsibility. All these are, I believe, various factors that can influence and take us towards achieving the objective that we are discussing here, a smokeless society or a smoke-free society, tobacco-free society. Yes, no doubt, parliaments have a role to play, but we have to understand the deficiencies that you have in the working methodologies of parliaments all over the world. Parliaments are a place where I would like to highlight that, so that we can carry our discussion further on the basis of the challenges that we have while you're working with parliamentarians. Parliaments basically are legislative bodies. They make laws, but laws are hardly initiated by the parliaments. They are initiated by the government. Basically, the government which sends bills to the parliament to make laws. We do have a private member procedure for making laws, but that's a very ineffective procedure. Because when you are faced with, or when you are confronted by mega powerful entities like the tobacco industry, then you do have problems. I have personal experience of such problems. I'll give you a very simple example. 2 years ago, in 2017, a committee was constituted for making laws for and addressing the problem of this. इसको क्या कहते हैं तावीज़ को these black magic and kind of stuff, yeah. Because it is quite prevalent in Pakistan. It's a big issue, and some people were interested in regulating this particular practice. It's a business, it's a thriving business. So I was appointed as chairman of that special committee to handle it. And when I started working, I had like 5 members of Senate on my team. We started working, and I was shocked to know that people were trying to approach me as well. And they said, we want to talk to you. So I said, okay. And we had a discussion. And frankly, they were people who were actually involved in black magic business. Black magic, sorcery, and this amulets, I think they're called in English. I don't know the exact word for it, but it's like a piece of paper on which some lines are drawn, and they think that spiritual, mystic powers will come into play and will support you in whatever. Talisman, yeah, yes. That's also that's the word, yeah. So we have lots of them, and it's a lucrative business in Pakistan. And then I realized where some of my members were being influenced as well, directly influenced through money or personal contacts or whatever. I won't get into details.
Even our foreign ministers do the same.
Even our prime ministers are involved. Yeah, and our president talk about things. But the problem is that this is how, social compulsion, that's what I'm saying. Social compulsions play a very, very effective role in promoting such vices, social vices. But anyways, this is the hard reality of life. So if one could, as I said, my personal experience of sustaining pressure, how difficult it is to sustain such pressures. When you're offered money, when you are offered many other incentives, not to do what you are supposed to do. Secondly, I'm just telling you these anecdotes just to highlight how important it is to be focused on this work, but how difficult it is also. I was serving as federal minister once upon a time, and my portfolio was Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Youth Affairs. Now we tried to organize an international conference on promotion of tourism with the youth perspective and to promote Pakistan's cultural heritage. When this happened, we applied for grant to the federal government to give us some money so that we can invite these experts, and basically it was a state activity, but so the government was supposed to sponsor it. We had the usual delays in sanctioning of that amount, and some people came, they approached me, and they said that we would like to sponsor your activity, but we would like to have that, sole rights for advertising. And two industries basically, reps of two industries approached me personally. One was the pharma industry, pharmaceutical industry. They are big time players, and you know that. In Pakistan, the prices of drugs and the way, there is this big margin in the cost of manufacture and the cost of sale. So and the price on which the drugs are sold, you can well imagine the amount of profits that they are making. So that was one offer, and the second offer was tobacco industry. One of our colleagues, Lexon, they are very powerful. They are in tobacco industry, but they are also in media, and they are everywhere. This is something, their tentacles are so long and strong that it is very difficult to escape from their clutches if they want to basically grab it. And anyways, I refused, and then something happened, a political incident, and the whole plan was scrapped. So, nothing happened insofar as that tourism conference was concerned. But I'm just telling you that the power of money is so strong that they approach you, and lots of people, they surrender to those incentives. Now, who would do this? Parliament can help you in advocacy, in sensitizing the general public, in legislation. We can also have another role, and that is the recommendation role of Parliament to the federal government. We can recommend to the federal government steps to be taken by them, and we can call them to our standing committees or special committees or our functional committees, or we can make them answerable to various initiatives that they have taken or we have taken and they have not responded to. So this is something we can do. But that role, again, end of the day, becomes simply a recommendatory, a suggestive, a role of influencing them, the government. The main stakeholder, in my opinion, is the government itself. And that the federal government, and now after 18th Amendment in Pakistan since 2010, the provincial governments. Insofar as the federal government is concerned, my experience, not just, in several sectors, in several areas that we try to reform the laws or we try to introduce or initiate new legislation, my personal experience has been that the government usually lacks interest, and if you motivate them to some extent, then they lack capacity to do it. Most of the senior bureaucrats, they have a certain mindset. They're not interested in changing or reforming or transforming the laws or the socio-political setup, and it's a very hard call to keep on pushing them, and making them realize. And then, once you convince them, because they are the technocrats of the government, they are the ones who have to formulate laws. And our law ministry, where capacity is well documented in the last 2 months, the way they made laws, they couldn't even draft a simple notification correctly, and you know what the Supreme Court did to them. So let me not wash our dirty linen here, but I'm just pointing out the difficulties that we have in actually formulating legislation, because it takes a lot of energy, mental, what you call it, information, knowledge, analysis to come up with effective laws. Usually the laws they come up with are defective. Very recently we have the meeting that you mentioned probably.
Yes.
It was on Zainab Alert bill,
Exactly.
for abusing children. But when we went through that law, there were many defects in it, flaws in it, and if that had been implemented, in the way it was given to us, we would have had a law, but we would have, I mean, it would not have been practically possible to implement it effectively. Number one. Number two, the other issue is that Pakistan is a graveyard of laws. We have so many laws on each and every subject. The issue is not in having the law, it is in implementing that particular law. And when you come to implementation, then the role of the government starts. And the government, as I said, has a massive problem. Let me tell you something about, because these things were mentioned and I was just taking mental notes of those points. I'm just remembering and blurting out my opinions or comments. Somebody mentioned here about the role of cabinet in referring back to the South. I have served in cabinet on 3 occasions. I was federal minister with General Musharraf's government. I was advisor at one point to the Prime Minister, Shaukat Hasim. I've served as Minister of State, Junior Minister as well, and I've sat in the cabinet on these occasions. And on all these occasions, my personal experience is that ministers do not have hopes to the ministers. Because, number one, they're not technocrats. Very few of them are qualified enough to understand what they are doing. Number one. Because they are political appointees. And political appointees mean that all you have to do is just win an election from a constituency, come and be a member of the ruling party, and you are made a minister. So most of the time your ministers do not understand the technicalities of their discipline of their ministry. Number one. They are being briefed by the technocrats, the bureaucrats, who are the actual technical experts. And whatever laws they formulate before you and bring them in draft form to the cabinet, usually a minister gets just half an hour or 1 hour briefing before the meeting, and he goes and just kind of presents that law before the cabinet. And then my personal understanding, rather my personal experience is that when you are talking about your law or your draft recommendation or proposal or policy, most of the members are not interested. Because everybody is focused on his own ministry and what he has to present in the cabinet meeting. And then you look at the face of the Prime Minister and his mood swings. If he's in a good mood, and if he's attentive to you, you talk. If he's not, then that's it. You have no incentive to sit there and be rebuked by him for kind of upsetting him. So this is the problem with political decision making, because political decision making is not a technocratic decision making. It's not a decision making process of experts. It's all goodwill, good mood. Yeah, this is politically acceptable, this is politically not acceptable, and that's how you take decisions. So with tobacco, you are actually dealing with a mega powerful entity, a lobby. They have their people in the tobacco industry. Just imagine for, especially my Pakistani colleagues, just imagine sitting in a cabinet and saying that the cost of sugar must be dropped by 10 rupees per kg. Can you do that?
No.
The moment you utter these words, this sentence, I think very senior ministers sitting on the left and right of Prime Minister are very close to his ears as well. They'll start shouting at you, and that's it. You're finished. So it's very difficult in the context of tobacco, in the context of pharma industry. Pakistan is one such country where I believe the cost of drugs is very high than our neighboring India. Several times this matter has been presented to the cabinet that why are you keeping this high margin of profit? But then you have pharmaceutical industrialists sitting as ministers, as members of the ruling coalition. So to fight them and to actually put your point across is a very, very difficult task. It's an uphill task. And I'm not disappointing you, but all I'm trying to say is that there are these flaws, the defects, the deficiencies in the lawmaking process and then in the implementation process. Several times it has happened that we have recommended from parliamentary committees recommendations to the government. They're very simple, but they would not act upon them. And then when they don't, all you can do is just call them. And they come and they present their argument and then the case is shelved for another 5 months. You take it up again and it takes years and years and then the patient just dries up. So these are the basic, again I would say, procedural flaws in our system. Now how do you address them? At the macro level, as I've just pointed out. Now another problem that has been given to us by our system is the 18th Amendment. 18th Amendment has a very I'm not criticizing the spirit of 18th Amendment. It was very good. Provincial autonomy, empowering the provinces to have more powers and to decide their own, within their domain, take decisions within their domain. But the problem is that they have lack of capacity. And then when you bring it down to the provincial level, issues where there is money involved, then you are making it more difficult for them, for the provincial governments to take serious steps. Because imagine, again I would say, imagine Sindh government trying to address sugar-related problems. Most of the sugar mills you have in Pakistan are also it's in Punjab or Sindh, right? And who owns most of those sugar mills? You know that. So how is it possible for the Sindh government, which is actually dependent on those big industrialists, to manage or to give you low quality, low price sugar? It's not possible. It is. Again, I should not be using the impossibility, the term impossible, but it is hardly very, very difficult. And it would take time and a lot of lobbying and exposure and all these, it's a cumulative effect. It's not just the effect, the role of the provincial assembly or the provincial government, it's a cumulative effect. Pressure must come from the what you call it, the public spheres of society, and then go from upwards as well. It should be a two-way pressure. Not just don't just expect the provincial government to make a law and that's it and pass it from the assembly, because it would not work. Even if they do so, it would not work again insofar as the implementation mechanism is concerned. FBR has its own problems. You know who? They are just bureaucrats. And chairman of the FBR is appointed by the government. And if the government does not want to do something or does not want to go to a certain extent, a chairman of FBR cannot take independent decisions. Although on paper he is independent, but technically he is not. And that is how you saw that the Senate committee recommended something about the third tier. Yeah, and FBR just sat on it, and that's it. And it has happened in several other issues. I was involved in one of the cases in which we called the auto industry. I'm a member of the Industries and Production Committee, and we called the auto industries and asked them that lots of people are dying in accidents because of the low quality of airbags. And that caused a lot of uproar. And the kind of calls we started getting, and then incentives, and take this thing and take that thing, and and it becomes very, very difficult. So, having said all this, I'll probably sound disappointing, but I'm not disappointed. When we started this what you call it, child abuse issue, there was pressure. There was pressure from so many quarters, although this was something that nobody should have criticized it. But I personally have experience. Don't do this, don't go to that level, don't, please, this is a gray area, this is dark area, this is brown area, this is green area, all that kind of arguments. But eventually, if you want to put your foot down, you do get results in the end. So my what you call it, suggestion would be, one of my suggestions would be, that although we are focusing on legislative measures and administrative measures, in addition to those, work is going on these measures, but in addition to those, the suggested measures. Also, the civil society involved in tobacco related matters should also focus on finding alternative, an alternative to this addiction. Like if we believe that tobacco is bad, people do want addictions. It's human nature. It's a myth, and myths are created. It's an anthropological issue. You all know Harari, the recent world-famed author on human anthropology and history, has written a book, *Sapiens: A Short History of Mankind, of Humankind*. I mean, read that. He talks about myths, creation of myths, and addiction is one of those myths, which is very closely linked, has a very close nexus with the creation of myths. You need to address these issues as well. Get people, deviate to or choose some alternate issue, and then it will make your task easy. That's how I look at it. I don't have a solution for it, but I think there are many other possibilities that we can explore. We can identify and then explore them in detail, and maybe some solutions be there. I think insofar as this particular initiative is concerned, as you mentioned, Dr. Noshin, I discussed it with Ali Saif when we were traveling to Jordan, and I told him that you are the technical experts on these issues. I am not. Get us information, get us data, send us draft proposals for legislative reforms. We will push them through the parliamentary procedures, committees and all that. We'll make laws. Government, yes, the government is there, but again, as I said, government is like a sleeping tiger. You have to wake it up, wake it up, and then channelize its energy. Either it will eat you and kill you, or it will do something good for you. So you have to manage it, and I believe that with your help, I'm sure that we'll be able to make a difference. But no doubt that we are up against a very, very mighty, powerful, and a mega, powerful enemy or opponent. Not enemy, but opponent. And as you have pointed out, media is controlled by them. I mean, you know that we know it clearly. Litigation, no doubt, yield results, but litigation is also just a slight push. Because once our Supreme Court has rendered so many judgments, but nobody else, they are not being implemented. Even the government refuses to implement them. And all you have as a lawyer to do, or all you can do, is to go and file a contempt